we'll start. So I would like to welcome everyone to the next speech of this track. And I would like to introduce our speaker today. That's Julia Kung. And Julia is a senior HR generalist who consults and enables leaders in different organizations and on around different topics, mostly especially focusing on the mental health, on mindfulness, and emotional security. Today, with the talk, we are going to be invited to look to what matters first, the personal agility and self mastery. So without much ado, I would like to give the the mic to you, Julia. And if you guys have questions, please use the QA section in Whova. We can address the questions after the talk.
Thank you. So you can also ask in between, I don't mind if this helps. Okay. Yes, I will start first with a little bit of theory and then we will go into practical. So a lot of people, nations, countries have tried to focus on ourselves and understand who we are. You all know Maslow's pyramid of needs. He tried to say that first we need psychological needs, we need to have food and shelter and safety, and only then we may be focusing or not on self-actualizations, but we cannot just jump from not having any food and talk about self-actualizations. The Asian approach, one of them is like Feng Shui. They divided a person into 9 chapters. So each of us, we all have 9 chapters in our life that we go through. And this is what Asian approach was trying to explain about us. The Indian approach, you may know yoga or chakras, the energy centers, they're also quite similar to Maslow's approach. They're also focusing on the basic needs and so on. And only later approach, we would go through self-actualization. The Agile Wheel also talks about self-mastery and how important it is for us to deal with others, to first work on ourselves. We cannot be good in our personal relationships or relationships in general at work if we are not also working on ourselves and trying to be a better version of ourselves. There is a pyramid that I would like to show you, and this is 7 steps to self-mastery. And this starts with actually partial or no self-awareness. This is where we don't know much about ourselves and we are not even looking, we don't even searching for that. This is like the first step. We don't know much about ourselves, only in the self-exploration, trying to figure out who we are, grabbing different books, different topics, searching online, we may discover a lot about ourselves, but also a lot of stuff that we would like also to hide, that we don't want others to know about us. At some point, we will try to understand who we are and try to make peace with all the skeletons that we try to hide in our cupboards. We at some point will, self-love, we would just be okay with ourselves, who we are, how we are, and this is where the transformation happens. And this is where we are also aware of ourselves. So this is where the journey goes. This is a lifelong process. We may go 10 steps up and then 5 back, or maybe 2 steps up and 10 back. this is a lifelong journey. I will start with the first one, with no self-awareness or self-awareness, where people don't know who they are. They don't look into themselves. They don't understand who they are, what they want, what their weaknesses are, nothing about themselves. There are those that are maybe pleasers, that only look for validation from outside. They only want to please others. There are also introspectors that maybe understand themselves, but don't have the need to listen to the external. They don't want to have a feedback from others, how they appear on the outside. And at some point, there will be a step where you are aware, where you understand who you are, but you're also open for feedback, and you try to improve yourself. You try to get feedback from others, to listen to it from all sides, and try to work on it and try to improve yourself. You all know that we are what we think. But we are not always aware of that, what we are thinking. So sometimes you may be, let's say you are in the car, you have an argument with your partner in the car, and you're driving to a destination, and you're focusing on this argument. And at some point you arrived at the destination, but you were not focusing on the road at all. You were focusing on the argument. So who was driving the car? So we just need to understand that there are more to us that what we are aware of, and there are a lot of stuff that we are not aware of. And the first step would be to get to understand or to be aware of our own thoughts. And this is where our mindfulness would come in, because not everything that we are thinking belongs to us. We may receive from our teachers, from our parents, a lot of sentences, things that were defining us, but do not belong to us. They would just judge us and would say something, and we would just, if it was when we were at a very low age, like children, we would just take in as a sponge everything, all the information that adults would tell us as religion, as like, this is what it is, and we would not question what it is. And then we will try to, through this conditioning, we would try to live. So when we approach people, we don't know, we may know who they are, like how they behave, what they like to eat, what they wear, but a lot of stuff we are not aware of, like their values, their customs, their traditions. This is what is hidden from us. But also our own conditioning. We also need to figure out what is it that we are conditioning, we're conditioned to. In the Indian tradition, they would focus on the lotus flower, and they would say that we have a lot of petals to open in order to get into the core of it, which drive us, our personal purpose. But there are a lot of lotus petals that we need to uncover ourselves, our perceptions, how we see life, and the reactions. Sometimes we just go around our life without even paying attention to our receptions, our reactions. We need to understand what is our personality, and also to take charge of our life and not to play the victim role. We need to take charge of our life and stop blaming others, playing this blame game. Oh, my parents did it to me, that's why I am who I am right now. It is to stepping out of that victim mentality and taking charge of our own lives. finding out our own goals, aspirations, and this is how we actually become our better version of ourselves. And also understand that if we all have emotional baggage. So if you face people at work, if you work with them, developers, whoever it is, product owners, stakeholders, they all have emotional baggage, and we ourselves have it. So we all and everyone around us have emotional baggage, and we may not even realize how we trigger others. We can trigger others through a random conversation, an interaction, an event. And this can trigger something within us that we are not even aware of, our core beliefs. And we have a lot of core beliefs, and they're all negative. For example, I'm all alone, I'm not enough, I'm entitled to special treatments. And this is something that a random conversation can trigger, and we need to be aware that something like this exists. And there are a lot of negative core beliefs, because only through negative situations in your life, when you master them, you actually grow. You do not really grow through great situations in your life. You grow through mastering negative situations in your life. And I can give you an example how we work with our negative core beliefs, how with time, how we defend those core beliefs so that they fit into this. And we have so many excuses why it is the way it is. So for example, if I have my core belief, I'm not smart enough, I would always say, oh, this is difficult, or I'm going to fail. But then I would pass the test, and I will look for justifications to still be able to say that I am not smart enough. I would just say, well, okay, because it was easy, otherwise I would fail. But then I know how to repair my car, but then the justification would kick in, well, because it was easy, everyone can do it. Or I taught myself how to program. Once again, well, anyone can do it. I know so many people who can do this as well. So we really find excuses to support our core belief. And here the idea is to first realize that we have those core beliefs, and then to not justify them, to be aware of them, and then to work on them so that we don't have them, or that we transform them. There was also one topic of self-love that was very difficult for me to understand it. And Charlie Chaplin put it very nicely, because he said that as I began to love myself, I freed myself of anything that is not good for my emotional needs. And it was either food, people, things, situation, everything that drew me down from myself. And first, he called this healthy egoism, and later he understood that this is love for oneself. And the other thing that also belongs to self-love would be to not comparing ourselves to others, just to understand that we have qualities that others don't have, and we are just as good as others are. They have qualities that they may not even aware of, but they are also beautiful creatures. And we only grow outside our comfort zone. And I would like to present this to you, because the comfort zone, this is something that maybe in professional environment, something that we know of, where no one can, we know everything about this topic. And we don't like to step outside of this comfort zone. But once we do it, we would grow. But this step requires a lot of from us to overcome. So we would first find a lot of excuses why we shouldn't step out of our comfort zone. But then again, we will only grow if we step out of the comfort zone. So we need to understand that we make excuses and at some point deal with that and still step out of the comfort zone. And then at some point we will just grow. It will be maybe difficult and challenging with the new skills that we have acquired, because we will not be as proficient as we were in the beginning in our comfort zone. But once we master that, we would just be a bigger person. This is how it is. One point was transformation. Transformation, this is where we would face a situation where we would be in shock, denial, disbelief. We would not want to deal with that at all. I had a lot of situations in my life where I tried with my little mind to deal with those situations, to do whatever, tried whatever I could, and I would still go into down and down and down. And whenever I thought, okay, it cannot get any worse, it went even worse. At the point where I had to let go and say, okay, I give up. I cannot do anything. I cannot find any solutions. And only then I would hear a little voice, usually when I would just wake up, in the morning, when you are in this middle stage where you are not fully awake and you're still in this dream stage, I would hear the solutions, and I would just follow them. And this is where the transformation comes. You would just value this little voice, and at some point you would just listen to it. So this is the theory from my side, and I would like to give you some personal examples that I had. I have a daughter. She is very focused, and I learned through my children a lot about myself. They taught me a lot. And one of my daughter, she is a very focused personality. And for example, ice skating, she would just focus on something and she would get where she wanted to go. So I was really impressed how the theory that I was reading in the books, she would just implement it in her real life. And there was one, when she was 10 years old, she really wanted to have a cell phone because all others at school had a cell phone, and I was against it because with 10, you don't need a cell phone. And I knew that I will never buy her a cell phone, but I was really curious how she would get the cell phone, because I knew that whenever she focused on something, she will get it. And yes, she received the cell phone not from me, but from her grandparents. So it was really interesting how she taught me a lot about focusing on something and getting it. And she was never in doubt that she will not get it. She was really focusing on that, releasing it, and she would get what she wanted. Another situation was when I was driving kids to school, and we had to go through the highway, and it was like always, we came from Berlin. It was like traffic. We could not move at all. And my daughter had a date, an exam, and we had to get there 15 minutes. We had to get there, and it was 15 minutes before 8. And we were just focusing that everything will be fine, and focusing that she will be there on time through her exam. And at some point, the highway was clearing, and we would get there in time. Another example is with umbrella. A lot of times where I was making trying to understand my intuition and not to focus too much on my ego or my mind. I was trying to have a balance and from both sides of the brain. it was sunny outside, and my something inside would tell me get an umbrella. And when I was arguing and saying, well, no, why would I need an umbrella? It's sunny outside. And I would just dismiss this information. A few hours later, it was raining and I was getting wet. But yes, I sometimes would learn the lesson. I would listen to my little voice again, but it was again practicing listening to this little voice within oneself. Another example was when I was in Switzerland working here. I had a permit for only 2 months, and during those months that I was working there, I was applying for other jobs because my permission was only until October. It was expiring. I was applying everywhere, and I would only receive rejections because of this permission, and they would not give me another one. And it was 2 weeks before expiring the permission when I said, okay, I understand that I will not be able to work in Switzerland anymore. I need to go back to Germany. And I let go of this thought, of this focus. I was just like, okay, I understand, I will leave. And then I let go of this. This is where I received an invitation for an interview, and they arranged the permit that I needed, and I kept working in Switzerland. This was for me to let go. Another situation was where a friend of mine visited me from Berlin in Switzerland, and she just came for a weekend on a Saturday, and she left her purse with the passport, with everything in the train. And this was the time where she had to meditate to try to let go, because she was really panicking. She had to go back on Sunday. She had to work on Monday. And to try to let go, it was a very difficult experience for her. And at some point, I received an email from the railway station telling me to pick up this purse. It was really strange situation, because we were wondering how the hell do they know where I live, my email address. But she could go back to Berlin on Sunday. There was another, I don't know, is it still okay for you? I'm running through all the examples. Are you still okay with the pace?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, good. So there was another one where I was moving apartments, and my mind, my ego planned so great with all the deposit. Here I will receive the deposit back, and here I will put it there, and so on. But of course, the situations in life didn't go as I planned, and I didn't receive the deposit back. I couldn't move into the new one apartment because they said they need my deposit. The moving company was coming, so there was a lot of mess, and I really had to. I was under stress, and I had again to learn to let go. And in this letting go, into coming into this calm, like, okay, I don't know how to get there, please. How do I get out of this situation? I would receive in the quieter situation an idea that I would just ask my HR to give me the part of my salary now, that I could pay the deposit, which happened, and it was once again okay. But then again, I was still playing with fire, with what like money wise. Then again, I was in a situation where I did not receive again from another company money back, and I was really depending on that money, and they took like many months to proceed this. They called it money laundering. for them that they make sure that there were no money laundering. And then at some point, I contacted them. They said it will take another few weeks for them to double check. And I thought, okay, I will not receive it on time. I let it go. I understood that now I will not receive it on time. And this is in the letting go. This is where actually everything happened. I was not focusing on it. I was doing my other stuff. I was trying to find other solutions. This is where the money came in. Yes, so those were my examples. And once again, why it is important to understand oneself, because self-knowledge is dynamic and evolving, and it is not static at all. And we are evolving all the time. And this is something that we would strive for. And this is something that we will not only need for our personal life, but also for professional life. And I have some practical exercises for you, how you can start working with that. You can start understanding what your fears are. Because when you Google fear of, you will get, I don't know, over 200 examples what people fear. And this is something that you should understand what your fear is, what you're fearing most. And if you work with them, you would try to face them. And this is one of the exercises. You can choose doing something that you don't like and do it still and see how it feels for you. You can review your life. You can just go back and see if there are any patterns that are repeating some situations, like even always the same kind of boyfriend, girlfriend, or another situations in the job that I keep repeating, maybe a bad boss and so on. Then maybe try to, if you blame your parents or the people in your life for being that or that, to try to forgive them and see how it changes you and also your relationship to them. And also before making a decision, try to see whether you are doing a decision based on your ego or based on your heart. Sometimes we just do the decision because we want to, and just to be aware of who is making the decision for you. And another one would be choose something that you really want to accomplish, to have this idea, but then to let it go, and just to see whether it will, how it will come to you. This is something that you can work for yourself and see how you can implement this in your life. And I also have some questions that you can, in your quiet time, ask yourself and work on that. I can leave it. I can share the slides with you. And this will also help you in your process. And once again, I would like to close with knowing others is intelligence, but knowing yourself is something that we would strive for. And also mastering ourselves is something that no one can take from us. If we can master our thoughts and our emotions, we can be the best version of ourselves. And this is something that that is evolving, and this is something that we would strive for. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to invite the participants to ask your questions in the QA and in the chat here if it's more convenient. At the moment, we do not have questions from the audience, but I wanted to ask you, looking at the pyramid of what do you call it? Mastering yourself. Which step do you feel is people get stuck most? Which is the most complicated step?
I guess with self-love, because we were taught not to be egoistic, and this is something which is difficult. This understanding, and and also this blame game. And but there's also where a lot of depression, there are a lot of depressed people where they are at the bottom of their life and they would never get out of this. So they would think that this is the end. I don't know how to get out of this. Instead of just finding solutions. Okay, I'm here. What can I do? Like I cannot do A. Can I do B? What is C? Scenario is D, E, F, and so on. So the depression is one also there where the people cannot. They are at the bottom and they are not aware that they can actually now it can only get better. They would just give up there.
How about in the workplace? One thing is sort of making a decision to learn about yourself, but sometimes people are. It's more visible from the side that you should be doing some work, right, with yourself. How would you recommend approaching maybe a colleague and helping him or her to start with, looking in a little bit?
You cannot be that arrogant and help others. It's not on you. It's maybe they don't want to. Maybe they just want to be an asshole. So you cannot just be there a priest and I see you're an asshole. Can you just hear out some books and learn about yourself? No. The person they will have their own experience in life, and those experiences will, like I had a lot of bad experiences in my life where I was like, oh, what is happening? And also my children taught me a lot. I was very egoistic and very focused on myself first. And I had a lot of experiences in life to transform. But I cannot, you can only be an example for others. Others can see you and then come to you and say, okay, what do you have that I don't have? Can you tell me what you did? And then you can do, but you cannot walk around and change everyone.
Okay, yes, true. Thank you. For those who actually want to start somewhere, but we hear about this getting to know yourself, and it's more and more a topic that comes up. But many people think, yeah, this is something I should really start with. What would be the best first step to start?
Those that I told you, the exercises, like first to figure out your fears, and also to understand your life and the questions when you start questioning yourself, what you like, what you don't like. You just, you will get more and more into it, and more you will get information, whether it is online or in bookstores, you will get that what you need. So I cannot recommend you anything, like any books, but the steps that I had, like the practical exercises, you could start with them. And at some point, you will be more open to this kind of stuff, and you will want to learn more about them.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. I see that we do not have any more additional questions. So for the time being, thank you very much for helping us look inside a little bit